The Minnesota Vikings are not tanking. Rick Spielman has said it, Mike Zimmer has said it, and both of them will probably be gone by the end of the season, or at the end of the season. Minnesota Vikings started the season 1-5, and it was clear the Vikings have had to go rebuild mode, because when you have a quarterback who's playing like Kirk Cousins, and when you have a head coach who has been very, very mediocre his entire career, you clearly need to go rebuild mode. And this starts with tanking. Now, like I've said, tanking is a myth. The idea of trying to lose is just not the case. Nobody in that locker room wants to lose. No coaches are trying to lose. But the only thing that does take place in the tanking process would be making trades. And for that reason, I thought that the Vikings would be making a lot more trades by trade deadline. Now, trade deadline happened on a very weird day in the NFL. Last Tuesday was trade deadline, and they should have extended it another week, in my opinion. Anyways, Vikings clearly needed to go rebuild mode because of how Mike Zimmer has been his entire career as a head coach for the Minnesota Vikings and how Kirk Cousins has been. And when you need a new quarterback, you need to go tanking mode. And like I said, the idea of trying to lose is not what I'm talking about when I say tanking. When I say tanking, I'm talking about trading players that can make you win. And that is what we saw with the Yannick Ngakoue. Vikings traded for Yannick Ngakoue with the Jacksonville Jaguars to go for their division, really. The Vikings needed Yannick Ngakoue if they wanted to win the division. Now, of course, Vikings are 1-5 right now and are 2-5 right now and did beat the Green Bay Packers, but still I don't think Vikings will be playing for the division. With that being said, Vikings can still play for the playoffs. Now, right now, the Minnesota Vikings are the entire NFL. There is 7 teams on each conference that can make the division, or that can make the playoffs, and that means all you really need is a winning record to make the playoffs now. It used to be you needed to get 10 wins to make the playoffs because there was only 2 wildcard teams, and you needed 10 wins to make the playoffs just about every season. If you wanted to make the playoffs, if you wanted to be a top 6 team in your conference. And now all you really need is a winning record. If you can go 8-8 and make the playoffs now. I mean, for when you look at the NFC East, you can go 8-8 and win your division. But of course, I'm talking about a wild card team. Now, right now, the NFC West is looking very tough, and the NFC South. There's 2 teams in the NFC South. One would win the division, obviously, and the other team would be a wild card team. In the NFC West, their entire division could make the playoffs. That's how they're looking right now. Now, they will probably have 2 wild card teams or 1 wild card team, and then the NFC North will have Packers will win the division, and there will be one other team making the playoffs, possibly. Now, that will depend on how the NFC West is looking, because right now the NFC West is looking like 3 out of 4 of the teams will make the playoffs, and that other team could be from the South, from the North, who knows. But the Vikings can still compete for a playoff berth, and that is why I do think that's why I know the Vikings are not going tanking mode. Because if they were going tanking mode, they would have traded Harrison Smith, they would have traded Kyle Rudolph, they would have traded Riley Reef, they would have traded Anthony Harris, which is what the Vikings should have done, mind you. This is what I said the Vikings should do, because there is no way the Vikings can compete for a Super Bowl. Now, right now, the Vikings can actually compete for a playoff, because you look at the stretch of games the Vikings have going forward, we can get a winning record. The only 2 tough teams we play right now are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. Outside of that, Vikings can get a winning record. Vikings could even win one of those games. So Vikings can go 9-7 still. Now, assuming that they don't, I think best Vikings will get 8 wins at best right now and will probably not make a playoff anyways. But still, Vikings can make the playoffs, which is why there is no way they are going tanking. And of course, everyone knows they aren't, because they would have traded away the players already if they would. Now, the reason why Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer are not trading away players is because obviously they want to keep their jobs. If Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman keep trading away players like they did Yannick Ngakoue, they will lose their job because the Vikings will not have a winning record. And it would set up for whoever the future for the team is going to be. Whoever the future head coach would be, he would bring in a quarterback. They would get a top 5 pick at best. I don't see Vikings out losing some of these teams. I mean to say, out losing the Jets, Jaguars, Giants, Redskins, or Washington Football Team. I don't see them out losing some of these teams. But also, Vikings are going to be needing a quarterback. This will not change anything. Kirk Cousins can have a great rest of his season, and they will still need a quarterback, which is why I assumed that they were going to go tanking mode. They did not. They traded away Yannick Ngakoue because it was for the better of the team. Now, of course, Yannick Ngakoue was probably our best defensive player outside of Eric Kendricks. and possibly Harrison Smith as well. Yannick Ngakoue was our best defensive player. He led the team in sacks, and he was playing very well. Now, of course, they traded him away. They didn't announce it, but they definitely traded him away because he was not going to take another deal. He was an unrestricted free agent in 2021, and he would have went to another team. Okay, he would have went to another team. So might as well get something out of Yannick Ngakoue, because you're not going to get a Super Bowl out of Yannick Ngakoue at this point, and that is what they were hoping. Or I don't mean to say Super Bowl. They weren't going to win the division at this point, so they had to get something out of Yannick Ngakoue if they're not going to get a division title. Anyways, Vikings, that defense is looking very tough. I mean, is looking very bad. And for that reason, the Vikings cannot compete for a Super Bowl. Even if Kirk Cousins somehow flips the switch and starts looking good, Vikings will not be competing for a Super Bowl because they cannot win the division. They will have to go on the road in the playoffs. And against some of these teams on the road, you do not want to have Kirk Cousins going against Russell Wilson on the road, Aaron Rodgers on the road in the playoffs. Who else will there be? Drew Brees, Tom Brady. You don't want him to go on the road against some of these teams in the playoffs. Maybe Drew Brees, okay? Because the Vikings can beat the Saints. Outside of that, I don't see him going on the road against any of these great quarterbacks and coming out with a win, because Vikings can win games with Dalvin Cook. The Vikings can give Dalvin Cook 30 carries a game and win games with Dalvin Cook. They cannot win Super Bowls. They can't even win the division. Now, of course, they did beat the Green Bay Packers playing like that, but also there was high wins, and at the same time, it is the Green Bay Packers defense. When the Vikings go against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they cannot feed Dalvin like they did last week, because you're going to lose, because that defense is too tough, and they will stop big runs from Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook could still get 3 yards a carry, which is great in the NFL. He could still get 3 yards a carry, but they will stop those big runs, because that is what beat the Green Bay Packers, was those big runs from Dalvin Cook. And anyways, Vikings can still compete for a playoff berth. They cannot compete for the division. Upcoming, you look at their schedule right now. I mean, you look at their record right now, and you look at the schedule going forward. Vikings can make a playoff, because the only two tough teams they have are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. They have 4 division games left. They are 1-1 in divisional games, both against the Green Bay Packers. They are 1-1 in divisional games. They can win 4 of their divisional games, and I think after that they should still make the playoffs, because they play the Carolina Panthers, they play the Jacksonville Jaguars, they play a bunch of teams who they are by far better than right now. And possibly, who else can you count in there? Oh no, they already played the Atlanta Falcons. I was going to count the Atlanta Falcons, some team in the NFC South. I forgot, we played the Atlanta Falcons, and that was their worst game of the season. Anyways, Vikings are not tanking. And we know this by a fact now. Vikings are not tanking because Mike Zimmer doesn't want to lose his job. Rick Spielman doesn't want to lose his job. And they're sticking with Kirk until the end of his contract, is the way it's looking right now. They're not even looking for a new quarterback. Maybe somewhere in the draft, not first round. That's not where they're looking right now. And that's where they should be looking. And that's why they should have traded away Kyle Rudolph, should have traded away Harrison Smith, possibly Eric Kendricks. I don't think so. They had a trade offer with Adam Thielen. They are not trading away Adam Thielen. That is terrible for the franchise. Even though by the time the Vikings will be good, Adam Thielen will probably not be good anymore. Leads the team in jersey sales, a lot of other things. Adam Thielen makes the team a lot of money. And at the end of the day, money is more important than how this future is going to look. So they are not going to trade away Adam Thielen. Outside of that, everyone else possibly could have been traded away, and they didn't trade him. Maybe after the season. I don't know. They won't be able to trade Anthony Harris after the season. They don't have money to give him another contract. Anyways, let me know what y'all think. Are the Vikings okay, well, they're not. They're not tanking. Unfortunately, they're not. Let me know.